Hari Om, Namaste to each one of you gathered here. It's wonderful to be in the midst of this satsang, where so many people have kept self-knowledge as a priority. So I feel honestly very delighted to be a part of this gathering. So as Vasu said, today's topic is, when do we move from 2 to 1, right? Whenever we count, we always move from 1 to 2. But for those who are familiar with Advaita Vedanta, probably moving from 2 to 1 doesn't seem that strange. So I have a presentation. Let me share it with you so that shlokas are visible to all of us. This today's talk is going to be based on 2 shlokas of Satdarshanam. Satdarshanam is a composition of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. It is also known in English as 40 verses on reality. So it has 40 verses plus 2 invocatory verses. In all, it has 42 verses. So I have selected 2 of those from that composition, 2 shlokas. And because the context for the shlokas is important, we'll be looking at the summary of the previous 2 shlokas also. So once again, I welcome each and every one of you. So let's look at shlokas 37 and 38 in the context of when do we move from 2 to 1. So at the outset, I would like to offer my pranams to the source of my inspiration. I invite each one of you to join me in this invocation. Let us chant Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Asatoma Satkamaya together. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let us offer our pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi, whose teachings we are going to explore together today. At the feet of Sri Narasimha Prabhuji, who is guiding me on the path of Atma Vichara. At the feet of Sri Adi Shankaracharya, who has given us such a great legacy in Advaita Vedanta. To all of them and to all masters of wisdom, I offer my pranams. Together, let us pray. Let their grace and blessings are always with us, and that we are established in the self. So, as customary, this is to give us the context, as we are going to study shlokas 37 and 38. We will just recollect briefly what shlokas 35 and 36 told us, or what they tell us. So in shloka 35, Sri Ramana Maharshi said, of all miracles, self-abidance alone is the greatest miracle. In fact, it is the only permanent miracle which gives us lasting happiness, bliss, peace. All other miracles are like dreams. So if somebody, even let us say a very great miracle of bringing someone back from the dead, someone who has passed away is brought back to life. But how long can that last? A few years. Then once again the body has to be dropped, right? So whatever miracles are worked, it is all in the realm of phenomena, in the realm of body, mind, and intellect. So they cannot be lasting miracles. They cannot give lasting happiness. They may build faith, but beyond that, they cannot establish us in our true nature. So that is why they disappear just like dreams disappear when we wake up. That's what Ramana says. So he says, self-abidance alone, being aware of my true nature 24/7 and abiding there. That is the true miracle. So he asks a question, can those who are firmly rooted in the real, in the self, is it possible for them to relapse into illusion? It is not possible. So it is a one-way street, right? So as long as we have the idea that the body is the self, says Bhagavan in Shloka 36, he says, as the thought or the teaching I am that, tat tvam asi, helps us when we are very strongly attached to the body identity. But as we move beyond that, it is futile to go on repeating, I am that, I am that. Bhagavan compares it to the ironical situation of a man repeating, I am a man, I am a man. Because gender is something so deeply ingrained in us, it has gone right into the subconscious mind. So I don't have to remember that I am a woman, or for someone to remember that he is a man. We don't have to go on repeating it like japa. It is there, it is effortless. So it is the same for a jnani when it comes to the self. The jnani is the self and he is aware of it all the time. So he does not have to repeat Mahavakyas or even refer to Mahavakyas like I am that. So this is what Sri Ramana told us in Shlokas 35 and 36. Before we go into the shlokas that we would like to take as the basis for the talk today, I would like to link up an experience or some dialogues that this devotee called Professor G.V. Subramaya had with Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Okay, the saga of the devotees of Bhagwan, that itself is a beautiful tapestry. If we refer to chronicles, books authored by them, records maintained by Ramanashram, that itself gives us a huge amount of teachings in how it was given by Bhagwan in different ways to different devotees. So when Subramaya was, at the time when he met Bhagwan, he had lost his 2-year-old son. Now, children are so charming, so beguiling, they steal our hearts, right? So a 2-year-old, so innocent, to lose a child like that is a really shattering blow. And Subramaya was plunged into grief. So he started wandering all over India, going from place to place, seeking solace, seeking answers. Why should a child be taken away? Such a young child. How can such a child die? Why should such a child die? So these were all burning questions in his mind. And one day somebody gave him Upadesha Saram, that is that has 30 slokas. Bhagwan first wrote Upadeshasaram in Tamil, and then he translated them himself into Sanskrit and Telugu and Malayalam also. So Subramaya, his native language was Telugu, and somebody gave him this Upadeshasaram that Bhagwan had translated into Telugu. So he read these 30 slokas and he said, is Bhagwan is his native language Telugu? Then the person who had given him the book told him, no, he's a Tamilian. His home mother tongue is Tamil. And Subramaya said, somebody whose mother tongue is not even Telugu, how can such a person write such beautiful poetry in Telugu? So I would definitely like to meet this great master. So he came to Tiruvannamalai. And we have heard this again and again with every devotee. When Subramaya came and stood in front of Bhagwan, and Ramana Maharshi turned his gaze, compassion-filled gaze oozing out Karunarasa towards Subramaya, his grief, he says, it simply dissolved. It was like a hard knot inside me. But the minute the cool gaze of Bhagwan looked into my eyes, this hard knot of grief, of sorrow, it just dissolved and disappeared. And a great faith was born in him. He became very devoted to Bhagwan. And because he was a scholar in Telugu, English, Sanskrit, he started translating Bhagwan's teachings, Bhagwan's books into English. So we are looking at a few instances, some of his dialogues, 1 or 2 or 3. So once Subramaya went to Bhagwan and he said, excuse me. So he went to Bhagwan and he said, you know, Bhagwan, some years ago, I had met another Mahatma and he had initiated me into a mantra. And without missing it, every single day I used to chant that mantra for some time. Every day I would chant it. But after coming to you, I am unable to chant that mantra. I am very scared because once you take Diksha, we are told that we should not give up that practice. But I am not able to chant the mantra at all. So what should I do? Then Bhagwan said, the mantra did what it was supposed to do. It is because of the fruit of that mantra chanting that you have come here. Now the work of that mantra is over. Why should you be afraid? When your stomach is full, don't you stop eating? In the same way, the work of that mantra is accomplished. You don't need it any longer. Therefore, you are not able to chant it. Don't worry about it. So Subramaya was very relieved to hear this. Then another day, he asked Bhagwan, Bhagwan, I know every body, when a body is born, it has to die. It comes with an expiry date, it has to die. But I read a shloka in the Bhagavad Gita that says that only when the body is worn out, it will be dropped. Just like we throw away a set of worn out clothes. But my son was only 2 years old, Bhagwan. Such a new body, such a fresh body. It was such a healthy body actually. It was not worn out at all. Then why should it be dropped? It was not a worn out body. So Bhagwan said, the very fact that it was dropped means that it was worn out. It is not the age that decides whether somebody's body wears out or not. When the body is worn out, when the expiry date that has been put there by his prarabdha karma, by his or her prarabdha karma, when that expiry date comes, that body has come only to exist till that date. After that, it cannot exist anymore. That means it was already worn out. The expiry date was reached. Why do you again ponder over that question? Why don't you drop it? Gently, Bhagavan said. So from that day, Subramanya stopped obsessing about why his son had passed away. Then one day, Subramanya wanted to know whether enlightenment or self-knowledge can be conferred by a guru upon a disciple. So he said, Bhagavan, I have read in many places that if the guru wants, he can give self-knowledge, he can give mukti to a disciple. And what do you say about this? So Bhagavan just said, for whom is this self-realization? That is what you should inquire. When you ask that question, then your individuality dissolves. And the delusion that you are not the self, that disappears. So he said, that alone is the grace of the Guru, Subramanya. Only that is the grace of the Guru. The Guru can dispel the delusion that the self has not been realized. Even now, you are realized, but you are not aware of it. So granting self-realization is impossible, not only for the Guru, but for God also. It is like praying, when you ask for self-realization, it is like praying, give myself to me. Very powerful words spoken by Bhagavan. Because even now you are self-realized. If you are asking for self-realization, it is like asking a guru and saying, give myself to me. It is as ridiculous as that. That is what Bhagavan told Subramanya. We know that Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi had a bone tumor. He had a bone tumor on his elbow, which was cancerous. And because of that, over a period of 2 years, he passed through this cancerous phase and he gave up the body. So during the last days of Bhagavan, before his Mahasamadhi, all the devotees who were close to him, even though they know, they have heard Bhagavan tell them again and again, you are not the body, mind or intellect, you are the pure self. They know it, they have understood it. And yet, the thought of losing this wonderful master who was with them till now, physically he will no longer be present, that gave them a lot of mental pain, anguish. So just a few days before Bhagavan passed away, he was very weak at the time, Subramanya went and started crying in front of Bhagavan. So Bhagavan said, Subramanya, what do you want? So Subramanya said, Abhayam ye vale Bhagavan, please give me protection. So by protection, he also meant mukti. And Bhagavan said, Ichchanu, I have given it to you. And with him, another devotee was there, his friend, whose name was Narayana Iyer. So Narayana Iyer was also weeping. He said, Bhagavan, is that assurance only for Subramanya? Bhagavan immediately looked at Narayana Iyer and he said, it is for everyone. So on one side, we seek assurance because we need courage. We need courage to drop this small self, this false identity, which we are holding on to so strongly, which is deluding us, which is not allowing us to understand our true nature. On the other side, Bhagavan said, you are already self-realized. So what can the grace of the Guru do? It can just help you to understand what is your true nature. It cannot give you something new. So this is what he told Subramaya. So coming to the Shloka 37, I will tie up this story later on to the teachings we are studying today. We will chant the shloka, lead and follow style. Dvaitam vichare paramartha bodhe, Dvaitam vichare paramartha bodhe, Tu advaitam iti eshah na sadhuvadah, Tu advaitam iti eshah na sadhuvadah. गवेषणात् प्राक् दशमे विनष्टे, गवेषणात् प्राक् दशमे विनष्टे, पश्चात् च लब्धे दशमत्वमेकं, पश्चात् च लब्धे दशमत्वमेकम्. So what is Ramana telling us here? Dvaitam vichare paramartha bodhe. If we like saying, or if we have a theory, or if we believe, as long as I am on the path of sadhana, as long as I am still doing Atma Vichara, then I am in the phase of Dvaita. But Paramartha Bodhe, when I actually understand the greatest truth, that I am Satchitananda, then tu Advaitam iti eshaha na sadhuvadaha, says Bhagavan. Then you have, many people say that, then you become non-dual. That is when you move from 2 to 1. Iti, they say this, eshaha, all these theories, na sadhuvadaha, they are not correct, they are not appropriate, they are not telling you the truth, they are not aligning themselves with the truth. That is what Bhagavan is saying. Then he goes on to explain, all of us know the story of the 10 men. We will also take it up a little in detail because Bhagavan has referred to this in the shloka a couple of slides later. So, referring to that story, Ramana says, Gaveshanat, when they were searching for the 10th man, they thought one among them had got drowned, right? The 10 men. Gaveshanat Prak, when they were searching for the 10th man, Prak, right in the beginning, before they felt somebody must have drowned, Gaveshanat, during the search, when they thought somebody was drowned, Vinashte, when they thought that person was dead. During all these 3 phases, Dashame, the 10th man, he still existed. Nothing had happened to him. He was there. All the time he was there. Beginning, middle, end, he was there. Then he says, Paschat cha labdhe dashamatvam ekam. Even when the 10th man found himself, even then he was present. So there was no point in time where the 10th man in that parable was not present. So Bhagavan is saying, in the same way, you are always the self. There has never been at any point of time, if time can be brought into the equation, because self is beyond time and space. But if you bring time into the equation, then it has never been true that you have not been the self at any point of time. You are always the self. So how can you say, during the period of sadhana, I am not the self? Only when I understood my true nature, then I moved from 2 to 1. No, Bhagavan says, you have always been Advaitam only. There was no other. Only the self has been existing. Everything else has been coming and going. It is an appearance. So to say that during sadhana, there is Dvaita, and after awakening or enlightenment, there is Advaita, this is not true. This is what Bhagavan is telling us very strongly in this shloka. So the shloka that we just chanted was actually translated by Sri Ganapati Muni. Bhagavan wrote this Satdarshanam in Tamil. He called it Ulladu Narpadu, 40 verses on reality. So later, Sri Ganapati Muni, he was a great scholar in his own right, a great leader. He translated this, and then Sri Lakshman Sharma, another staunch devotee of Bhagavan, also translated it. We'll look at that in the next slide. What does that say? So here, the shloka that we just read, the translation runs like this. Theories such as there is duality during sadhana and non-duality after realization are not true. The 10th man was present not merely when he was found, but also during the search conducted with loving concern by all his friends. So what does Sri Lakshman Sharma says? He says, even the statement that duality is real so long as one is striving to reach the goal, but there is non-duality on accomplishment, is not at all correct. The 10th man in the parable was present both when he himself was anxiously seeking the 10th man with the idea that he was missing, and when he had found himself to be the missing 10th man also, he was present. A very thrilling analogy. So what is the Avadhuta Gita? Are there, of course, there are plenty of teachings which corroborate this teaching of Bhagavan, which underline it, which support it. But I have taken 2 shlokas from Avadhuta Gita. So this 44th 1.44, what does this shloka says? This says, Adi Madhya Anta Mukto Aham Na Baddho Aham Kadachana Swabhava Nirmalah Shuddha Iti Me Nishchitamatihi. So this shloka says, Adi Madhya Anta, in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, I am free. Na baddho aham kadachana, I am never bound. Swabhava nirmalaha shuddha iti, I am naturally spotless and pure. Me nishchita matihi, this is my sure knowledge. It is my own direct knowledge, not something that I have heard. Yes, scriptures tell us about it, but of my own direct knowledge, I know this. This is what the Avadhuta Gita says in this shloka. Then the next, another shloka, the 48th one says, Shadanga yogana tu naiva shuddham Mano vinashana tu naiva shuddham Guropadeshana tu naiva shuddham Swayam cha tattvam swayameva buddham. So the 6-limbed yoga, it is not true that the self was purified through the practice of the 6-limbed yoga. It is only the mind that is purified. It is not true that the self is purified when the mind is destroyed. We know what is the destruction of the mind. Again and again, we have understood this destruction of the mind. Sri Prabhuji has told us what is Manonasha. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has told us what is Manonasha. Manonasha does not mean the destruction of the capacity of the mind. All the faculties of the mind, they remain intact. Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. These are the four facets of the mind, four functions of the mind. Out of that, only Ahankara is destroyed in Manonasha. Ahankara is, I am this body, the Deha Bhava, the strong, mistaken identity we all have. Only that is destroyed, nothing else in Manonasha. So here, Avadhuta Gita says, even when Manonasha happens, even when this false identity is discarded, does it purify the self? No. It only purifies the mind. It is certainly not pure when you made pure when you receive teachings from the Guru. Even that Guru Upadesha, which is so supreme, it holds the supreme place in the path of any spiritual sadhana. So even that Upadesha from the Guru, it purifies the mind, it corrects the understanding, it convinces the intellect, it removes our mistaken belief. But it does not purify the self. Why? Because the self is already pure. Nothing can make the self impure. It is Svabhava Nirmalaha Shuddha. By its nature itself, it cannot be contaminated, it cannot be polluted. That is the nature of the self. It is self-luminous, it is ever pure. So this is what Avadhuta Gita says. So whether it is in the beginning or middle or end, I am ever free, I was never bound. This is what Bhagavan is also telling us. So just let us look at a brief glimpse into what changes and what is changeless. Now, I remember studying this, I think, in the 3rd standard or 4th standard. The life cycle of a frog. How the spawn of the frog, the eggs of the frog are there, then they hatch into tadpoles. The tadpole looks like a fish. It looks much more like a fish than a frog. We have all seen tadpoles, right? They are in water, they cannot survive out of water. And then a metamorphosis happens. That means there is a change in form itself. Metamorphosis. The form changes. Transformation in the form. So when this transformation in the form happens, this fish-like tadpole becomes a 4-legged frog, which can live either inside water or outside water. It's an amphibian. So we think of this kind of change, a spiritual change, this kind of change, or a spiritual change, the very famous metamorphosis, the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. It becomes a pupa, it weaves a cocoon around itself. We know that whole story, right? And one fine day, it pierces through the cocoon, and what went in as a worm comes out as a beautiful multicolored butterfly, which can fly everywhere. Everybody loves butterflies. They look so gay, they make you feel so happy, right? This is also metamorphosis, change of form. So is spiritual sadhana like this, that I move till a certain period in time, I'm in Dvaita, and then one fine day somewhere, some kind of metamorphosis happens, and then I emerge into Advaita. Is it like that? Is that the path of Atma Vichara? So this story, we know the story, right? 4 disciples were sent by a guru to bathe in the river. So they got into the boat and went across to the opposite ghat where there was a bathing place, and they all bathed in the river. And then suddenly, one of the disciples got a doubt. 10 of us started from the ashram. How do we know whether 10 are there now or not? What if somebody has drowned while bathing? How do we know?
So they said, let us count. You all stand in a row and I will start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Of course, we know he forgot to count himself, right? Count, recount. Everybody, every one of the disciples is forgetting to count himself. So 9 every time. So they all start weeping. Oh, one of us is dead. One of us drowned in the river. Who is it? They're unable to say who it is. So one stranger who is passing by, he understands their predicament because he's been watching for some time. And he has counted for himself. There were 10 only. But each person is not, the counter is not getting counted. So he says, you all stand in a row and I will come and tap you on the back. When I tap you on the back, you say 1, then you say 2, 3, until we reach the last person. So when he taps the last person, he says 10. Oh, how wonderful. One of us, the lost man, the drowned man has been found. We are all here and they think the stranger performed a great miracle. But did the stranger perform a great miracle? In a way, yes. Because he corrected their wrong understanding. That wrong understanding was giving them so much grief. Oh, one of us. We were 10 disciples. We were so close. But one of us is dead. One of us is missing. One of us has drowned. Wrong understanding. And the way he counted them made them understand nobody was missing. Nobody was dead. So correcting understanding is a great miracle. But what is Bhagavan saying here? What did Ramana say? He says, even when they were coming in the boat, when they were happy, they were thinking, oh, we are all together. What fun we are going to have. We are going to bathe in the river. We are going to be together. We'll splash each other. We'll have so much fun. There were 10 of them. 10th man was there. When they were bathing, 10th man was there. When they thought one man was lost, the 10th man was there. When they thought one man was dead, the 10th man was there. When they found the 10th man was there. So the self is always there. The self is ever present. Vedanta has several examples like wave and water, right? When we move more and more into the ocean, waves decrease. As we go towards the shore, waves increase. But whether the wave is present or the wave is absent, water is always present in the ocean. It is unaffected. The 10th man, his presence was unaffected by the misunderstanding. People thought he was dead, but he was not dead. He was just the same as ever. So the water in the ocean remains the same, whether there is a wave or there is no wave. It is always present. It is unaffected. Also, there is an example of the pot, the ghata. The ghatakasha and mahaakasha. Inside the pot, there seems to be a space. We think the space inside the pot is different from the space outside the pot. But when the pot breaks, the space inside and outside seem to merge. But in truth, they were always one. They were never separate. So these are all examples that Vedanta gives to help us to understand this concept. So we were talking about water, right? This is another, I think, Vedantic example, a story, a parable. If it is not in Vedanta, it is definitely there. It has been given time and time again to explain this phenomenon. The phenomenon that we think is real, that we think is the body, mind, and intellect, we are that, but We are not that. But the presence of the self, the substratum, is so subtle that we don't cognize it. So to explain that, the story has been given to us several times. There was this small baby fish living in the ocean. It went all over the ocean. It swam, 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 and then at the end of the day, it swam back to its mother. Amma, I'm so tired. Why, baby? Why are you tired? The baby fish said, I've been searching and searching and searching, Amma. Searching for what? Oh, I've been searching for water. You know, everybody tells me, when I say, what is water? They say, you don't know water? Water is inside you. Water is outside you. Everywhere there is only water. There is nothing other than water. If water is not there, none of us can live. Water is so essential. It is absolutely the substratum for our existence. Everybody says all that. I searched and searched and searched, Amma. No water anywhere. What is water, Amma? So when this conversation was happening, a fisherman cast his net into the sea. And the baby fish and mother fish both got caught in the net. And when the fisherman pulled the net out of the water, these two fish were wriggling around, and somehow they managed to jump back into the ocean. Then the baby fish said, oh, this is water. I never understood that this is water. So subtle, it is always there, right? So this self is always powering us. It is the basic substratum. So easy to overlook. But this fish could get out of water to understand what water is. But we cannot get out of the self, right? Self is everywhere all the time. So it is only by correcting our understanding that we can become aware of our true nature. So we come to the 38th shloka. Let us lead and chant. Karomi karma iti naro vijanan. Karomi karma iti naro vijanan. Badhyo bhavet karma phalam cha bhoktam. Badhyo bhavet karma phalam cha bhoktam. Vicharadhuta hridhi kartrita chet. Vicharadhuta hridhi kartrita chet. Karmatrayam nashyati sa eva muktihi. Karmatrayam nashyati sa eva muktihi. So karomi karma iti naro vijanan. When man thinks, when we all think that I am doing this action, when we understand that is, when that is the level of our understanding that I am the doer of the action, badhyo bhavet karma phalam cha bhoktam, then there is no choice but to accept the karma phala that comes from that action. I have to enjoy that karma phala. Enjoy in inverted commas, whether it is good or bad, I have to experience that karma phala. There is no choice as long as I believe that I am the doer of the action. Vichara dhuta hridi kartrita chet. Vichara, when we ask ourselves, where in the heart, deep within us, when we ask, kartrita chet, who is the doer? Who is the doer of this action? When we ask that, this doer, this individual, who we say is the body, mind, and intellect, dhuta, it will get destroyed. Karmatrayam nashyati, then all three karmas, sanchita, prarabdha, agami, all the three kinds of karmas are destroyed, says Bhagwan. Sa eva muktihi, that is what is called mukti or liberation. So, translation of Ganapati Muni Shloka, which we just read. If one feels one is the doer, one must reap the fruits of one's action. If one inquires, who is the doer, and enters the heart, the doership will end. Triple karma is destroyed. This indeed is liberation. Sri Lakshman Sharma says, if the self were ever himself the doer, the self, the Atma, is not the doer. In the presence of the Atma, actions happen. In the presence of the sun, everything on earth happens. The sun is not coming and doing anything. So that is the Vedantic example. So here Ramana says, if the self were ever himself the doer, then he would reap the consequences of that action. But the self is not the doer, the Atma is not the doer. So when the sense of doership vanishes, sense of doership is false. As long as I believe that I am this body, mind, and intellect, I have this strong sense of doership. So when the sense of doership vanishes upon the realization of the infinite self, as a result of the quest, who am I that is the doer of all actions? All the three kinds of karma or actions vanish with it. The wise call this state eternal deliverance. So what does the Bhagavad Gita say? Bhagavad Gita says, Karmanyeva Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalehe turbhurmate sangotsva karmani. So karmanyeva adhikaraste. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties. Each one of us, based on our roles, we have so many responsibilities, right? We say, oh, in the morning, I have to make breakfast, I have to cook lunch, I have to get dabbas ready. We are homemakers, or if we are mothers or parents, we have to do all these things. And then if we go out and work, then we say, I have to teach in college, or I have to handle cases in court, or I have to look at patients in the hospital, whatever is our role. We have a prescribed set of duties, responsibilities, which we have agreed that will be performed. But here Krishna is talking to Arjuna in the second chapter, 47th shloka. He is saying, Arjuna, yes, you are doing these, you have all these prescribed set of duties. As a Kshatriya, you have to protect the kingdom. You have to protect the citizens of the kingdom who depend upon you. Whatever duties you perform, you are not entitled to the fruits of your action. So here we have to become aware that we have kartritva, we have the feeling of doership. Then we have bhoktritva. We feel that I am entitled to enjoy the fruits of my actions because I have performed those actions. So straight away for somebody to accept I am not the doer may be difficult. Vedanta does recognize this. So Vedanta says, on the path of Nishkama Karma, either do actions without expectations or you offer the fruits of your actions to God. And you accept whatever God gives you as his prasada, prasada buddhi. Just like we take prasada. If it has less salt, or if somebody has put too much of spice in it, we don't complain. When we take prasadam, we take it with a lot of gratitude, faith, and we say, God's grace is there in this. It is going to protect me, and we take the prasad. So Karma Yoga says, in the first stage, you may find it difficult to let go of doership. Doesn't matter. start with enjoyership, bhoktritva. So that's why Krishna is telling Arjuna, yes, you have your set of prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your action, Arjuna. Don't consider yourself to be the cause of whatever results happen. Every action will have results, some outcome. Don't consider that it has happened because of your action. Don't, at the same time, don't get attached to inaction either. Don't think, oh, I must be a witness. Therefore, whatever is happening, I'm just going to watch like this. No. You have to carry on. All the duties need to be done, but they are happening. So the first step, detach yourself from the results. Don't take responsibility for the results. Don't have expectations and think that the results are because of your action. So that is what Sri Krishna is telling us here. In these two shlokas, in the 5th chapter, Sri Krishna says, always think I am not the doer. This is next stage. So Krishna is saying, using our senses, using our limbs of action, we see things, hear, touch, smell, we move, we sleep, we breathe, we speak. Excreting happens, grasping happens, opening and closing the eyes happens. Anything, even the smallest thing that happens. Don't think that I am doing this. Next step of Karma Yoga. Don't live like that, says Krishna. Everything is happening because of the power of the self, power of God, however we want to call it. So the light of divine knowledge, they see that it is only the material senses. The jnanis who are established in the self, they see that the senses are moving around, the body is moving around, the limbs of the body, that is moving around, the brain is thinking. But they are not the body. The body is an instrument. The senses are part of the body. Limbs of action are part of the body. Body, mind, intellect, they're all instruments to be used for Loka Kalyana. That's why Prabhuji keeps telling us, Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya Cha, even as we strive on the path to let go of this false identity, to correct this understanding, this distortion, this warped understanding, which we have nurtured for so long. Now we want to correct it. But even while that is happening, we have to think of the body, mind, and intellect as instruments and use them for the good of the world. Every single thing that we do it for the good of the world. So here Krishna is saying, that is how jnanis look at everything. That is how jnanis live. So there's another way of looking at this. We are very, very logical. Let's say, I don't believe in all this nonsense. What is this? God is there. God is powering. Where is your God? How do you know there is a God? How do you know there is any self? I don't believe in all this doership, enjoyership. I'm going to do actions and I will claim the results as my own. Why should I listen to all this? So that can be one argument of a very, very logical mind, somebody extremely rational. So how will we talk to such a person about this concept, about this truth? So here one day, I was wearing a nice dress, or at least I thought it was a nice dress. I had bought a new dress and I wore it to my workplace. So when I went there, a lot of people complimented me. Wow, such a nice dress. Where did you buy it? You have such good taste. You always wear nice clothes. So what did I start feeling? I have such good taste. I am taking credit for this set of clothes. Who made those clothes? Somebody designed them, somebody conceptualized them, somebody bought materials, someone stitched it, someone transported it, someone sold it. I just bought it and I'm wearing it. That's all. But the way I'm feeling inside when everyone is complimenting me, Arey wah, what for? Right? I didn't even do anything in this case other than just buy the dress and wear it. It's painting. If somebody is an artist, people may compliment us. We hang up a painting in the house, oh, so beautiful. We may have painted it also. So some skill has come in, some talent has come in, time has got invested. So when people say, Arey, that's a beautiful painting, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your appreciation means so much to me, you know. Who made the canvas? Who taught me how to paint? Who is powering these hands? If somebody has a paralytic stroke, God forbid anybody should have it. Is it possible for that person? If that person was the greatest artist in the world before the stroke, and that person again paint like that? Every single thing. So many contributing factors are there to make any action happen. So this is what Prabhuji keeps telling us time and again, time and again. Lemons. I gave somebody lemons from my garden. So they said, wow, such wonderful lemons. I can water the plant, maybe I can plant it, maybe I can give it some manure, but can I make the lemons? Lemons have to be grown by the plant, for which sunshine, soil, air, rain, so many things go in. Sculpture. We have a nice piece of sculpture in the house. We have bought it from somewhere and somebody compliments us. We have written this set of books. Where did that wisdom come from? Somebody taught us, somebody inspired us, many people inspired us. The laptop on which we typed this book, somebody manufactured, somebody designed, somebody invented, somebody transported, right? Hundreds, thousands, millions of factors come into play. This is Prabhuji's favorite example. Who made the cup of coffee? I made it. I'm so good at making coffee. I'm so good at baking cakes. Again, how many factors come into play cosmically? Who grew the coffee beans, who transported them, who roasted them, who sold them, who milked the cow? No, it goes on and on. We can't reach the end of any chain. So innumerable people, innumerable agencies, just in this physical world, they contribute to everything we do. So to a very rational, it's a very rational model. So the question we can ask is, what was my role in this entire chain of action that has taken place? I'm just a very small node over here. I'm nothing. It's a complex matrix. Lines going all over the place, lines linking not just the earth in it. It links the globe, it links the galaxy, it links the whole universe. Prabhuji sometimes gives this example. Where does this finger start and where does it end? So first we say it starts here, it ends here. Then heart has to pump blood. Then the brain has to give a command to move the finger. Then when we breathe in, air comes in from the atmosphere. The sun has to be there for us to be alive. For that, galaxy has to exist. For that, the cosmos has to exist. So for one small thing to happen, the entire cosmos, entire creation is participating in that. Smallest act. Small act of drawing in a breath. The entire cosmos has participated in that. So that very realization is very humbling. And that also does a lot to remove this grandiose feeling, I am the doer, therefore I should be the enjoyer of the fruits of my action. This is also a story that I owe to Sri Narasimha Prabhuji. There is a nice beach. All of us have gone to beautiful beaches in our time. Some of us may be living in cities or towns that are on the seashore. So one day I walked to a seashore and there was this grand old man with a red turban, and he had a nice big cane in his hand. And he was sitting there and he said, he was looking at the ocean. He didn't want to take his eyes off from the ocean. He would raise his cane and say, up, 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 down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. And I was looking at him for some time. Then I said, sir, what are you doing? He said, up, up. But I just wanted to find out, hey. So then after some time, he said, you know, the waves were being very naughty. They were not listening to me. So I could not talk to you. It is my job, you know, every day I have to come here early in the morning till the night. I sit on the beach and I tell the waves how to go up and how to go down. If I don't do that, they don't move, or they do very naughty things, which is not good. So then I said, sir, then you don't get any sleep also? Oh, no, no, no. When I do it from morning till night, no, they would have become a bit disciplined. So in the night, they are well behaved. So I go and sleep. When I come back in the morning, they're just starting to misbehave again. So again, I have to start up, down. You're seeing me, see how busy I am. All day long, I'm so busy. I don't have time even to talk to anybody. Okay, okay, enough. Up, 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 down. Again, he started. Ridiculous story, right? I loved it when Prabhuji shared it with us for the first time. But isn't this as ridiculous as what we are doing also? We think the sun rises and sets because of us, so to say. We think we are so necessary for the functioning of the world. But anything that happens where we are involved, we did, or we contributed to that outcome. But we are also like this when we say, when Donne Nayaka, his name was Donne Nayaka, the grand old man with the cane on the beach, everybody knew him in the town. So we are all Donne Nayakas. Whenever we say, I did this, this is happening because of me, the cosmos laughs. It would laugh if it could. Because we are only one tiny matrix in the chain if we are looking at the chain of causation. And if you are looking at it from the angle of Advaita Vedanta, then we are the substratum. We are the never-changing self, which does nothing, but in whose presence everything happens. So whatever happens through this body, mind, and intellect is happening, says Vedanta. It comes and goes. It happens. You are not making it happen. And you are not entitled to the fruits of that action. So this reminded me of an incident from the life of Bhagwan Buddha. So there was this very, very charitable man, Mahadani, called Anatha Pindika. Many of you would have heard about him, you would have read about him. He would feed thousands of people every day. And he heard about Bhagwan Buddha one day. He heard that Bhagwan Buddha was coming to his brother-in-law's house. He has come from another city. Anathapindika comes to his brother-in-law's house, and nobody is paying any attention to him. Usually when he comes, they say, come, 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 come sit down. What can we give you? You've come such a long way. Are you tired? Are you fine? That day, everybody is busy. They're organizing something. His brother-in-law, oh, Anathapindika, you're here? Okay, good. That's all. So he says, what's happening? Why are you all so busy? You're so occupied. With what? So his brother-in-law says, you know, Buddha is coming, the Holy One, the Great One. He's coming to our house today for Bhiksha. So we want the place to be clean. We want it to look festive. We want to welcome him in style. Who is Buddha? You haven't heard of Bhagwan Buddha? You've come on a wonderful day. Stay, stay. Have his darshan. Talk to him. So darshan happens, and then Anathapindika becomes the disciple of Bhagwan Buddha. So he wants to build a monastery. Now Buddha would travel from town to town, from city to city. He didn't live in one place. He was constantly preaching the Eightfold Path to people and traveling all over India. And wherever he went, he would stay either in a grove at the outskirts of a village or a town. If somebody had built a monastery, he would stay there. So Anathapindika wanted to construct a monastery in his town. So he went around everywhere and he identified one mango grove. He said, this is the best place. It is just at the outskirts of my town. Easy for people to go and come, but it is very quiet. So the monks will be able to meditate peacefully. This is the correct situation. This is where I want to build the monastery. Then he inquires, to whom does this land belong? So they all said, it belongs to the Prince Jeta. He is the owner of this land. So Anathapindika went to the Prince Jeta and he said, O Prince, that mango grove of yours at the edge of this town, I would like to buy it from you. I want to build a monastery for the Holy One, Bhagwan Buddha. Name your price. So Prince Jeta says, I will not name any price. I don't want to sell it. Again and again, Anathapindika says, no, I would really buy it from you. Please tell me, what will you take for it? So Prince Jeta said, he meant to joke. So he said, if I were to sell this grove to somebody, then the price money would have to be spread all over the grove. If you have enough money to spread all over this grove, many, many acres, then I would give it to that person. Immediately Anathapindika said, yes, I will do that. I will spread money, not even 1 inch of land will be left. So thoroughly will I spread it, with so much of attention to detail, I will spread the money. And Jeta said, Arey, I was just joking. I didn't say I'll sell it to you. Anathapindika said, no, when you named a price, I accept it. So they went to the elders of the town and the elders said, yes, it is like what you said is like naming a price, and if Anathapindika can fulfill it, you have to sell the grove to him. So cartloads of copper coins came. Can you imagine from 30, 40 acres of land, how many coins may be required to be spread across? So that many carts came. He was a very rich man. And you can see laborers over there, they're spreading the copper coins all over the grove. Finally, a small bit was left. and a few more carts were ordered. Then Prince Jeta, who had been watching this, he said, indeed, if you are going to take so much trouble, if you are going to spend so much money for this great person, he must be indeed extraordinary. Therefore, let this remaining part of the land, let it be my gift to this Holy One. So in this way, a monastery was built in the Jetavana. So one day this Anathapindika, he asked Buddha, for many, many years, as long as I can remember, my family has been engaged in helping people. We have been doing Annadana, we have been building homes for the homeless. We try to educate poor children. We try to do whatever we can to give back to society. But sometimes I question myself. Am I doing all these things because I really want to do them? Or am I doing them simply because everybody now expects me to behave like this? So sometimes I feel maybe I'm doing this not from total compassion, but maybe to retain a self-image in front of the public. So what should I do? Is dana, is charity, really does it bring you such good fruits? Is it really such a supreme activity? The greatest kind of sadhana? Is that what dana is? I want to know, he asked Buddha. So Buddha says, he gives this famous answer. What is that famous answer that Buddha gives? Is there really virtue in giving? Is the final question. So Buddha says, there is virtue in giving only when you know that there is no virtue in it. Because all things pass away, the giver, the gift, and the receiver. So the one who is giving the gift, if that person is the body, mind, and intellect with which we identify that person, an ajnani, that is how he identifies a person, then that giver will die one day. The person who has received it, the person who is helped by the gift, that person will also die one day. And whatever gift is given, that will also pass away. Recently, I heard about a charitable hospital which was built about 200-250 years ago. It is all falling due to lack of maintenance. It is almost in ruins, so it will be demolished and something else will be built in its place. So change is the order of creation. We hear the statement again and again, the only thing permanent in the world, in Jagat, that which comes and goes, is change. So there is virtue in giving only when the person who is giving knows all this is impermanent. It is like a dream. A dream character is giving to another dream character, and a dream giving gift is being given. Whether the gift is a scholarship or money or whatever it may be. That means the person who is giving is aware of his true nature. The person who is giving is aware that this body, mind, and intellect, they are mortal. They are only instruments. That his true nature is the self, and there is nothing that exists other than the self. So this is what Bhagavan told Subramaya also. The story we began with in the beginning. What did he tell Subramaya? He said, you think that the Guru can give you mukti. But indeed, the Guru is aware. Even in Jnana Yoga, even when the Guru is giving the teaching to the disciple, the Guru is aware. There is nobody called the Guru. There is nobody called the disciple. And whatever teaching is being given, it is all happening in a dream, in an apparent illusion that has come into being. He is aware that he is the substratum, he is the self on which all this comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. So that is what we have learned from Bhagavan today. So, two wonderful shlokas. When do we move from 2 to 1? To come back to the title of today's session, the answer is we never move from 2 to 1. There is no 2. There has never been any 2. There is only the self that has always existed, that will always exist, that exists right now. And right now, each one of us, we are that self. We are that eternal self. So let's close our eyes for a minute. Keep your spine straight. Be aware of your breathing. Deep breathing, slow breathing. Feel the mind becoming quiet as the breath moves in and out. Shift your attention from the breathing to the one who is aware of the breath by asking the question, who is aware? The breathing goes on. You are the witness of the breath. The breathing changes. The witness remains constant. Sounds around us may come and go. The witness is unaffected by the sounds, by the sensations in the body.
Thoughts may come and thoughts may go. I am the witness who is aware of the thoughts. I am unaffected by the thoughts. I am the substratum of awareness on which all these phenomena appear and disappear. I am ever pure. I am peace. I am bliss. Whenever you feel like it, then slowly open your eyes. Even with your eyes open, stay in that Sakshi Bhava. Let us offer our pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi and all the enlightened masters of wisdom for the Jnana Yajna, where we have explored teachings of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi.